Welcome back. Now, Amsa has been central to South Africa's automotive manufacturing industry, providing critical materials for vehicle production components and being a vital contributor to the overall competitiveness of the domestic sector. According to the National Association of Automotive Component and Allied Manufacturers, Amsa is the sole domestic supplier of roughly 70 kilotons of specialty long steel grades to the automotive sector per annum. The association's CEO, Renai Moothilal, joins us now to unpack what effects Amsa's exit from the market will have on the automotive value chain and other downstream industries. Thank you so much for your time, Renai. Now, just to start off the conversation, how far does the reach of ArcelorMittal South Africa's long steel business extend in the automotive manufacturing sector?
Zinochi, thanks for having me. And I think it's a really pertinent topic that we're speaking about today. The reach is actually fairly significant in that the autos manufacturing sector as a whole is a really integrated global value chain. So even if it's just one component impacted by the specific grade of raw material, it ends up having a much bigger kind of spider web effect type across the whole vehicle assembly space. But to answer your question more directly, Naacam, as the kind of representative body of component manufacturers in South Africa, has done some research when Amsa came up with the announcement last week. And of the 7 vehicle manufacturing plants here in South Africa, 4 of them have suppliers will be directly impacted. I think, just in terms of the number of jobs, you're looking at about 3,000 jobs associated with the exact components that are currently being supplied by the long material companies.
And of course, the success and profitability of any industry really depends on its competitiveness. How much of a challenge then will the closure of the long steel business present on the competitiveness of South Africa's automotive industry?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about something like the steel products, which tend to be, from a logistics perspective, quite expensive to move across, and you already understand the kind of logistics challenges that South African manufacturing has faced with over the past couple of years. Ideally, any kind of domestic production is a competitive advantage as long as it's cost effective. And what we have known is that Amsa and its predecessor, ISCO, previously have been at the technological forefront of these kind of products going into the auto sector. I mean, autos production by its nature requires high quality. If you think of safety, particularly, so it is quite.
And I mean, also, because, I mean, as much as the announcement did come last week, Amsa had actually flagged this in 2023, of course, saying that there is a possibility that they might close this long steel business, but they were saying that they are open to engagement. So I'm wondering, just, from a stakeholder engagement point of view, had there been any engagements, interactions from the automotive or by the automotive industry with other stakeholders?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you're right. There was an initial announcement, I think it was around November 2023. However, since then, there has been engagement both as a sector, directly, and of course with the relevant government authority. Our understanding after a SENS release last year was that engagements for the kind of support that Amsa needed for this particular ongoing, it was positive. Direct engagements with the company, even towards the end of last year, was, hey, you know what, it's still continuing. Having said that, we were to some extent as a sector, I wouldn't say surprised, but it wasn't kind of expected at the start of last week. There have been companies who have been looking at mitigation plans, I would say, over the past year. However, the reality is something like this, you need effectively about a year to transition to suppliers. An announcement with 3 weeks to go does not afford you that amount. And as a sector, we've been very clear in the ask. Ideally, we would like to see this production existent in South Africa over the long term.
And I mean, yeah, even with this announcement, I mean, there have been a number of stakeholders as well, including Amsa shareholder, the IDC, saying that they are working on more engagements to make sure that this does not happen. But let's say it does actually get to the end. Renai, what other alternatives are available to the automotive industry if there is nothing to stop that closure?
Short term, right now, it is a huge concern because if they do not find a way to extend buffer stock and timing out of their plant, I do think we can expect some level of plant stoppage and plant closure at component level, unless Amsa can somehow, in the next couple of weeks, prioritize production for the auto sector. I think the question you're asking is, are there long, medium-term replacement opportunities in place? They do exist. I mean, you could find some of the mini mills upgraded to produce these kind of products. But ultimately, again, if you think about a vehicle, you yourself, you drive a vehicle, but you want to ensure that it has been cooked.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for your time, Renai. I do understand that we had a little bit of sound issues there at the end, but we did get the gist of the conversation, and also really the main challenges of the automotive sector if those closures of the long steel business from ArcelorMittal South Africa actually it does get closed. Thank you so much for your time and for your insights today. That was Renai Moothilal, CEO of the National Association of Automotive Component and Allied Manufacturers.